Hi there, this is Richard Gebe and welcome to my channel, Richard Gebe Tutorials. So in today's class we are going to look at one example which is JPLC. This has been solved in your normal class. We just want to go over and see. So it is saying JPLC is financed as follows. You have equity 5 million, $1 shares quoted at 2.50 cents, cum div, on which a constant dividend of 32 cents per share is about to be paid. On which a constant dividend of 32 cents per share is about to be paid. Okay, you go to the debt. Debt is saying you have $4 million, 8% debenture quoted at 92 x interest. Corporation tax is 30% required. Calculate the returns to investors on equity and on debt. B. Calculate the weighted average cost of capital to the company. So in starting this workings, the first thing you need to know is that you should calculate first your equity, cost of equity and cost of debt. Okay, so let's just proceed from here. Let's have this now. Cost of equity, you gotta be able to say cost of equity Ke equals to do and px dividend. This p is the market value. You have to know that. So in this question you are given a market value that has the dividend embedded in it. So which is why when solving this question you have to know that whenever you are given div, you have to know how to treat it. You have to be careful of treating it. So let's see how this one will work. If you are given div, yeah, let's see how this one will work. So our do, we can say do will be what? Our dividend, which is 32 cents, and our PO, PO currently is what? Is $2.50. But remember, this PO is the same as PCOM div. Okay, it has dividend in it. The PO you need is the PO with what? XDiv. Okay, the market value you need is what? The one with the XDiv. So whenever you are given comdiv, you have to transform this comdiv into XDiv. Okay, the XDiv. So this comdiv, basically this is what we are saying. P comdiv pcomdiv, and for you to change it to pxdiv, pcomdiv, for you to change it to pxdiv, you just need to subtract the dividend from it. Remember, dividend is about to be paid. it means dividend has not been paid yet. So this market value, which is the com div, it has dividend in it. Okay, this market value, it has a dividend in it. So all you need to do is to subtract this dividend that is in this market value. Okay, so you need to subtract it, then you can calculate. How do we do that? So currently your pcom div is $2. Your pcom div is $2 25, $2.50. Okay, $2.50. But remember this $2.50, and also your dividend is already 32 cents. You cannot subtract 32 cents from a dollar. So all you need to do is to change them either all to dollar, which will be 32 upon 100 would be $0.32. Okay, but what I will advise is that change everything to cents so that one will be easier. So if you change this one to cents, it will be two $2 two, or it will be not $2 again, it will be 250 cents. Then you have to subtract the 32 cents from it. Okay, so you need to get your x div as a market value. So this one will be now 218 cents. Okay, 218 cents, that is what you get. So 218 cents, this is what currently you have. So for you to calculate your PO now, our PO in this case, we need to calculate. Our PO is already given. For you to calculate your cost of equity, you use this formula. Okay, use this formula, which is calculation of cost of equity. So we already have our DO. What is our DO? Is 32 cents. 32 cents upon our market value. What is the market value? Remember, the market value is the one without dividend. Okay, that is our market value. So that is what you're going to bring, the one without dividend, to 18 cents. Okay, so your KE will now be 32 cents divided by 218 cents, which will give you 0.1468. Yeah, in rounding up. Then you should convert this one into percentage. Okay, so it will be 14.68%. This is what you have as what? Your cost of equity. Okay, so having calculated the cost of equity, the next step is to calculate the cost of debt. Okay, what's your next step? Your next step is to calculate the cost of debt. So cost of debt will be KD, and KD, you know that just have the interest on debenture upon the market value of debenture. So just the market value of the debenture. So now, what is our interest on debenture? This is the return that the share the debenture holders are requesting. Okay, so when you see 8% in the question, you're going to look at this, the 8% in the question. That's the interest, that is what your debt holders are requesting per annum. Okay, but remember, this debenture is quoted at $92, 92 cents, you can say $92. But What I want you to know is that what I want you to know is that the nominal value, the nominal value of the debenture is always $100. Okay, we can say it $100. So quoted below that 92, it's something else. Okay, so now if you have a nominal value of $100 and you have interest of 8%, it's like saying, okay, this is also $8. It's like saying this is also $8. So which is why when dealing with this, you have to say the interest will be $8 upon the quoted price. What is the quoted price? 92. Okay, so 92. But remember here that tax is being it's going to affect this one. Okay, you gotta reduce the tax rate. You know, you have to reduce the tax. So whenever you have a tax, you have to reduce it from the cost of debt. Cost of debt. So how are we going to do this one? When you have this formula now, you have to say in bracket 1 minus tax. Okay, in bracket 1 minus tax. You can either solve it and just minus tax, or you have this one. So if you're solving it first, it will now be 8 in bracket 0.7. Remember, when you take off the tax, then it's 92 now. So going to the B part, you are requested to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so B is asking you to calculate your work. So the work, basically, we're gonna say for you to calculate your work, first consider the you first going to consider the equity. You first going to consider the equity section of the work, which is KE times the weight of equity. So you're going to say weight of equity, equity plus debt. Then the other, you add everything to what? You add everything to the, you say cost of debt, KD, times now debt weight. What is the weight of your debt? The debt, equity plus debt. This is what you have. Okay. Now, you know, in calculating this one, KE, you need KE. What's your KE? It's already 14.68%. What is your KD? KD here you have 6.09%. But you need the weight of debt, you need the weight of equity. Okay, you need those ones. So you're gonna say your equity equals to, you should calculate your equity. and your debt equals to. How do you calculate that one? Now, what's your equity? You're gonna be able to calculate equity as, oh, have it there. Okay, you're gonna be able to calculate equity as, okay. This is equity. Equity. First, go to the equity section. You have 5 million equities. Okay, 5 million shares, and you have to take the market value without dividend. That is the XDiv, the market value per share without dividend, and times it by the 5 million. So this is 5 million shares at the market value, which is the XDiv. And when we calculate the market value, which is the XDiv, we're able to get this amount, $2.18. Okay, and you have to say $2.18. So what would equity give to you? So basically, $2.18 times 5 million shares, it will give you 10.9 million dollars. This is the worth of equity currently we have. The worth of equity currently we have. What do we need now? Debt. We need what? Debt. For debt, we have $4 million. Okay, but what is the value of the debenture? How is it quoted? We remember our nominal value of debenture is $100. Okay, our nominal value of debenture is what? $100, but this is quoted below $100. So you have to be able to know that since it is at $100, and if it is quoted below $100, it's gonna be $92 upon what? $100. This is how you have it. So when you solve this one, you'll be able to get 92. That is 0.92 times $4 million. So it's gonna give you 3.66868 millions. Okay, so what is gonna give to you. So now your you have your equity. What is your equity? $10 million, $10.9 million. You have your debt. What is your debt? Your debt is $3.68 million. So what is the total of the capital? Okay, so you say the total of your capital. Capital is both debt and equity. Total of your capital, when you combine these two, debt plus what? Equity. Debt plus equity, or equity plus debt, to give you 14.58. Okay, this is what you need. So having got that, all you need to calculate now is to use these figures you have. These figures you have, just use these figures you have here in this box. Use these figures, then you insert them into this formula. You insert them into this formula. Remember, it's just to insert them into this formula. So basically, you're gonna get, in solving your work now, WACC, you're gonna have, the first thing you consider is to take the equity section. In taking the equity section, um, you're gonna say what is KE? KE is 14.68% times, what is the equity 10.9 upon equity plus debt will give you 14.58. Okay, you're gonna add everything. The next one you're going to consider now is the debt section. So the other area you have to consider is the debt section. So the debt section, you have, the cost of debt, which is the KD. It's 6.09% multiplied by the weight of debt. What's the weight of debt? That is 3.68 upon 14.58. Yeah, haven't got that. Now you need to solve for each. Don't mix them. Remember, one thing you need to know, you have to know that you have these numbers in percentages. You have this in percentage, you have cost of debt in percentage. You cannot multiply them in percentages. So all you need to know is to be able to convert them into, instead of relative terms, you have to convert them into absolute terms. Okay, so this 14.68%, it will be 0.1468 multiplied by 10.9 divided by 14.58, it will be 0.7476, and rounding up to 4 decimal places. You say all plus, this will be 0.0609 multiplied by what? Multiplied by the weight of debt, which will be 0. It will be 0.252524. Yes, you have 0.2524. So all you need to do now is to solve this, then you add them both. Okay, so let's proceed from here. So when you multiply this number by this one, each will give you 0.109 0.10975 plus, and the other one will give you 0.0154. Okay, so when you add both of them now, you will get 0.1250. This will be 25. This will be 12.50%. So basically, this is the Wacc we have calculated. Okay, Wacc we have calculated. So if we have any benchmark, this must not go below the benchmark, or the company will not be able to have a point that to break even in order to satisfy its capital providers. Okay, let's say benchmark was provided like 11. Cost of capital was provided like 11%. So if we calculate, we are able to get 12, then we go on with the investment. But let's say the benchmark was 13. You calculating below this one, then you not go on with that. So kindly like, comment, share, okay, for other students to be able to get access to this lecture. And more lectures are coming. I'm also going to solve another example. But remember, this is when we are determining the cost of debt without um, being redeemed. Okay, so it is irredeemable. So when it is irredeemable debt or any irredeemable debenture, what will happen to calculate your cost of debt is very, very simple and straightforward. But when it is redeemable, meaning bounded by time, when you have the maturity period, remember you have to use your internal rate of return in solving that. So thank you. Don't forget to comment again and like and share.